Hey guys, JB here from Alpha Wolf Consulting, coming to you today with another segment of this course on self belief. And this segment's all about how I build self belief within myself. So basically, when we understand that, you know, our belief is just thought on repeat that becomes so strong that it becomes a truth to us. Well, how do I build my self belief? Or what even is self belief? This is our self identification or self identity. So, how I build self belief within myself revolves a lot around my identity of self within myself. So, for example, if I'm trying to build up my self belief that, I can learn something new, well, if my self identity is that I am someone who cannot learn, well, it's quite difficult for me personally to be able to build up that self belief. So, the key thing to understand is I have to shift and change how I identify myself and my identity within myself to be one that supports, self belief, that supports success. Okay. So it's very, very important for me to curate and condition a version of myself where I can see myself succeeding and achieving in whatever I'm trying to do. Because what we want to do is we want to create that image, of, I am someone who is capable of learning. I am someone who can adapt and overcome. I am someone who can make the best decision, in the worst of situations or scenarios. I am someone that can adapt and overcome to any challenges that present to me. And then what we have to do is we have to reinforce through on repeat that identity or those characteristics that we want to embody within ourselves. So if I'm trying to build my self-belief that I am someone who is worthy of love, then I must build the identity within myself, so the self identity as seen by the self. So this isn't my self identity that other people see. This is purely the self identity that that I personally see when I think and, view myself. So it is very important to understand that, building self-belief is a solo job. So I don't need other people to validate the identity that I have for myself. It's regardless of what they think, this is an identity that has been created within me, for me, and by me. So it holds no value to anyone else. It only holds value to me. Therefore, I am the only one who can validate it. And that's an important thing to understand, is that when we're trying to understand self-belief, is we're understanding how validation influences our beliefs or our thoughts and our actions. Okay. Because, for example, if I am someone who has self belief, then when I take actions or when actions are required, I must take them because I am someone who can take them. So it's understanding these, identifying markers that we have within ourselves, okay, that really help to shape and structure our self belief. Because if we think about the identity of the self, so my identity of me to me, okay, this is the framework that I build out through actions and decisions. For example, if I am someone who can adapt to challenges and changes, well, when I have challenges in my life, I must adapt and overcome them or adapt to them because my identity of myself is someone who can. So for me to refuse to do that or to choose to not do that, would go against how I view and see myself, which is very important because it's not that the identity of the self has to encompass every aspect of, the self-belief. It's that it's the framework. And then through my actions and through, working on it every day, through the intention, the language that I use within myself to myself, my thoughts, the narratives that I support or don't choose not to support in life, in my life, these language patterns that I'm using. So the structure of the language, am I using structure that limits me, or am I using structures that empower me and propel me forward? Okay. So that's an important thing. Because essentially, as we've discussed in the previous lessons, well, self belief is just language narrative or language patterns or stories that we tell, okay, that either support our development and growth or support and validate the limitations that we have set within life. So if my limitation or my self-identity is someone that cannot learn or adapt and overcome, then I must, through my actions and through my narratives, support that. Otherwise, there would be an inconsistency. So we naturally will tend to align our thoughts and our beliefs, or our thoughts and the words we say, or the actions we take. So to understand this is just to understand that my self identity or identity of self is the framework. So if I have allowed myself to condition a very, very dysfunctional and limited identity of self through my environment throughout my life, that identity doesn't it doesn't support rapid developmental growth. So for me to achieve rapid developmental growth, I have to first break or shatter that identity of self before I can rebuild a new one. And that is why it is only in our most trying and enduring moments that we rediscover and discover who we truly are and the true potential that we hold. It is through reaching those perceived limits, but being forced through them. So if my perceived limit on walking is 20 kilometers a day, I will never walk further than 20 kilometers a day. But if I am in a situation where I am forced to only, like the only option for my survival is to walk 120 kilometers, that 120 kilometers will become effortless. The reason is failure to do it equals death. Death is the one of the factors. So on one end of the spectrum, there is death. On the other end of the spectrum, there is the accomplishment, the gold. So when we're in a scenario where it's life and death, either I move forward or I surrender and die, what we're going to find is moving forward becomes the easiest option. For moving forward is far easier than sitting and dying. So that's a thing to understand, is that to artificially break my created identity of self, or the identity of self that has been molded and built over time, I have to put myself into an extreme situation. Now, it doesn't have to be life or death, but I have to understand it within myself as life or death. And the beautiful thing about our mind is that our mind does not understand the difference between imagination and reality. if I perceive and imagine this is a life or death situation, that I break this boundary and I sit there and I build it up until it's a belief that if I do not push forward, I will have to surrender and die. And our easy way to put this in perspective in life is we all have the same choice: to push forward and succeed in our life, however that looks for us, or to sit miserably and exist in a life that we have no want or need to ever live. But the problem is that most of us, I was in this trap for a very long time. I was stuck in that life of trying to soothe myself rather than face the pain, of trying to make that existence as comfortable as possible. But the truth is, that is just a coping mechanism. The only way to solve that problem is to push forward and to break that identity of self, the identity of limitations, the identity of, low self-worth, of not feeling good enough, of, that identity that I can't do this, that those who did are special, that I am not special, that I do not have purpose. Because that's an important thing. If we want to break the identity of self that has been molded throughout our lives, we first must create a new one. Because if we break our identity of self without first having a new one, well, it's not that we need a new one, but having a new one has a direction to move towards. But even if we don't have a new identity of self to move towards, we will naturally move towards what we want and enjoy. But the downside is there are two parts. There is what our higher consciousness wants and what our ego wants. The ego is conscious thought. The higher consciousness is the consciousness that directs that thought. So do I limit myself to just being my thoughts, or am I the one directing my thoughts? When someone says something to me that offends me or triggers me, am I the thought of being reactive and triggering? Or am I the consciousness that is deciding if I want to choose to react to this information or if I want to choose to keep progressing forward in my life? That's an important thing. So to understand this is just to understand if I want to build self-belief within myself, I want to stack the deck of cards like we're playing a game of poker in my favor. And we can all do this. If I am not wealthy, I can be around wealthy people. If I am not smart, I can be around smart people. If I am not connected, I can be around those who are connected. Do you see? I can, with my decisions and my behaviors and my actions and my thoughts, consciously move towards what I do not have in life. If I do not feel worthy within myself, I can be around someone who can help me understand that, someone who already understands that. So that's an important thing, is that even if the deck of cards I pick up is stacked against me, just remember, all players are playing against the house, not each other. So the thing is we have this illusion, when we're in a casino, that we're all trying to win against each other, when the whole goal of being in that casino is to win against the house. So this comes about through competitiveness. So, for example, we might be in the same industry, in business, and we see each other as competitors, but we're not competitors because our goal is to compete for the customer. In the context of in business, our goal is to service the customer. It's not to compete against and beat other businesses. Because if we compete to beat other businesses, our focus is solely on other businesses and not on the customer. Okay? So by understanding this, we just understand that if my hand in this game of poker is stacked against me, I have the ability to choose to artificially stack it again, like for me. Now, granted, a game of poker, fixed rules, all of this. Life doesn't have that. So in life, I can find someone who is a millionaire and go and have a conversation with them and get help and support from them. Does it mean that everyone owes me that? No. It just means if I want something, I can move towards it. Okay. If I wanted to have more connections in my life, then I can go out there and connect with more people. If I want to be smarter, I can invest in my education. If I want to be wealthy, I can find ways to provide value in exchange for wealth. There are all these different things. So when we're moving back and understanding self-belief, if I want to be someone who has immense self-belief within myself, I must first stack my deck of cards so that I am someone who is worthy. So in the actions that I take, in my intention behind those actions, am I someone who is worthy? Am I someone who is worthy of success if I am taking actions towards that success? If my intention for that success is pure within me. So I'm not doing it to achieve something for someone else so that they will look at me different, but I'm doing it to achieve something for me. Do I have the connections? You know what I mean? So am I connecting with the right people that are going to help build me up and help me build up my self-belief? Or am I connecting with people who just want to tear me down every time I reach higher than them? Because in life, a lot of our friendships are based out of convenience and comfort. So what that means is that if it is not comfortable for them that I do better in my life or convenient, then they're going to see it as I'm acting against them. Do you see? We want to stack the deck with the language that we use, the language patterns, the narratives, the stories that we tell ourselves. Am I someone who creates stories of empowerment for myself? Am I someone that sees a challenge and finds a solution? Or am I someone that sees a challenge and just says, why is there meant to be a challenge in this? Why does everything have to be a challenge? Why can't I just get a clean break where there is no barriers to entry? Trust me, I've felt this way many times and I still do. And it's through understanding and breaking it that, like, to understand this is just to understand if I face challenges, just know 90% of those challenges are in my mind. I experienced this the other day, that if I want to work with schools, all my courses must be registered, must be certified. Why bother? That's the thing. That's a challenge. And there's a blockage that I must go out and get certified and validated by these authorities so that I may do what I want to do in life. Who needs them? If I want to play the game where they have stacked the rules against me, then I must accept those rules. But when a challenge or a blockage arises, do I need a certification to be able to teach someone? Do I need accreditation to have value in my words, to get results? No, I only need it if I want to play their game. So I have the choice in life to play my own game. Do you see? Where they want accreditation, I can find clients. Where they want to validate me, where they want to have the authority to dictate and regulate, I can just build it myself privately without them. And then they have nothing. Do you see? I can choose with my career to try and get accredited, to try and get registered and become a registered training organization, become registered learning institution, or I can just become a learning institution. Who cares what the authorities think? Who cares what the people who are setting the rules think? I can go around them. I can just do it. Do you see? The blockages and these challenges that we face in life are just artificial. They've been put there by someone to limit it. If I do not have customers and I do not have a brand, I can just talk to people. If I do not have, finances, I can just do it for free. Like, it doesn't always have to be. But should I want to do it the way that they want it to be done, I must meet every instant or every rule that they put up. I must meet it and excel it. That is called the game of life. The game of life is built by society, and if you choose to play it, just know it is all make-believe. It is not real. If I have accreditation that does not add weight to the words that I say, if I have accreditation that does not add value to the knowledge that I give, do you see? It is all an illusion that by me having some validation from some external force that perceives to be themselves to be the leading expert in this, that does not add to anything that I can or cannot do. So the thing is that if I come up against these blockages where I need this, where I need that, where I need this, I have the choice to just say, no, I will create my own path. So if I wanted to create a business in, say, finance, well, I don't have to have a registered financial company. For many people lend and borrow money from each other without the government's involvement, without accreditation. Imagine this: if you needed a financial loan, a financial license to be able to loan your family money, and you had to draw up contracts and you had to do background checks and you had to do credit reports just to loan your family money. It's funny like that, hey? Our society has gone through and created all these barriers to everything so that to be in a certain area is to be of a certain echelon, a certain class. That's the funny thing. So just remember, nothing is real in the context of all these blockages, all these imaginary limitations that you have, all these fears, everything, all the negative words that are said to you, all of the negativity that you feel about yourself. It's not real. Should you choose to take action towards being who you want to be in life, you will find that should you drop these illusions that you've been carrying for all of your life, you realize they do not need to come with you. Do you see? You can just drop the limiting beliefs that you are not good enough. You can just drop the negativity that others say about you. You can just drop the doubt and the fear that you are not good enough. And you can just choose to pick up whatever you need along your path that you may follow. Do you see that you can just let go to what you do not want in life? For me personally, I do not play the game of other people's rules. I'll do it on my own. Should that mean that I have to go out there and chart my own path, devoid of others, alone, with only my two hands? I will gladly do it. It doesn't matter. I don't need them. But should I want them, I have to play the game by their rules. Should I want to be recognized by them, I must first, agree to the limitations that they have set and to the rules of engagement, to the rules of warfare, so to speak. Do you see that inherently we all know what is good and bad to us? Externally, we are being bombarded by what is positive and negative, what is good and bad in life. If you have no money to your name, you should not feel good about yourself. You should feel desperate, poor, destitute. This is what society says. But you don't have to. The thing is if you have nothing in life, you should act as if you have everything. If you've got nothing to hold on to, that means your hands are empty to receive everything that can be just through taking action. So I say to you, stack your deck of cards about your self-identity and how you view yourself in your favor. Use language and language patterns, narratives, and stories that empower you, not disempower you. Choose to reinforce the positive beliefs that you hold about yourself and curate the beliefs and the thoughts and the narratives and the stories and all of that you want. Choose who you want to be, how you wish to empower yourself, and then take the action to do it and move towards whatever you want in life. And just know those old beliefs, that old you, that old identity, just let it go. It doesn't need to come with you. You may have been stupid your entire life, but you are smart today. Do you see? You may have been stupid your entire life, but should you choose that you are smart, you will take the actions of a smart person. If you believe that you can learn, you will put in the effort to learn, and then as a result of putting in the effort to learn, you will learn. Learning is the same as working out. If you are unfit, you have the capacity to be in extreme fitness. If you are considered illiterate, you have the ability to become a genius. The illusion is that whatever others say about you and these perceived thoughts you have about yourself and these self-identities and these beliefs and all that you've created are set in stone, but they are not. For you can be, do, and have whatever you want in any moment. All you have to do is choose to move forward. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you on the next lesson. Thanks so much. Bye.